local influencer campaigns alike. Start growing your business today at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Out here, you'll find a community of hardworking creators with loyal followers, along with proud moments worth sharing. And farm to table, well, that's just supper. And whether it's a raised garden bed, acres of land, or something for your animals, we've got all the supplies and are happy to share a little know-how.
Welcome to Tractor Supply. Into life out here.
Ozempic, but in a pill? Yep, it's oral semaglutide, now available from Future Health. It's the same active ingredient as Ozempic without painful injections. Go to futurehealth.com for easy access to oral semaglutide, Ozempic, and Zepbound for $3 a day. No insurance needed. People are raving because they're losing 10 pounds in their first month. Visit futurehealth.com, future without the E, to start losing weight this week.
Future Health Weight Loss.
Data based on independent study sponsored by Future Health. Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion.
Get ready for a fiesta of flavors at Santan Brewing Company's Taco Fest this Saturday, May 4th, starting at 3 p.m. at Santan Gardens in Chandler. Indulge on mouth-watering tacos from local vendors, sip on the best beer and spirits in the valley, and groove to live music. Bring your friends and family for a day of delicious fun. Get your tickets now at santanbrewing.com. And while you're there, don't forget to check out the other events happening this May at Santan Brewing.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harris, owner of LifeSource Water. Arizona's desert water is some of the harshest in the country. It's tough on your skin, your hair, and your home. Some people turn to old-fashioned softeners, but there's a better way. With LifeSource, you get clean, conditioned, and healthy water from every tap. No salt, no regular maintenance, and no plastic. Just fresh filtered water that protects your family and your appliances. So call 1-800-WATER-99 or visit LifeSourceWater.com. LifeSource. Taste and feel the difference.
Warranty limitations apply.
Broadcasting from the Raffi Law Group Studios. KGME Phoenix, KESC, HD3 Phoenix. Make us the #1 preset on the new and improved iHeartRadio app.
Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues in the second round. In Major League Baseball Saturday night, the Los Angeles Dodgers won at Atlanta 10-3 for their 7th consecutive win. Meanwhile, earlier on Saturday, Sovereignty won the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
From the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electrical needs, call Parker.
Our Sunday forecast is calling for temperatures dropping down much cooler at 80 degrees. We're looking at a 30% chance of showers with increasing clouds. Overnight lows dropping into the 50s at 59 degrees. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Ashley Lessa.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Every day a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Don McDowell Outdoor Radio is sponsored by Elevate Design Group. It's time for Don McDowell Outdoors on Fox Sports 910. A show for the avid fisherman and hunter looking for tips from the pros. Now here's your host, a saltwater fisherman and the man that fears no fish. He's the Bass Daddy and a tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Hey, welcome to the show today. Welcome to Don McDowell Outdoor Radio. They call it outdoors because, quite frankly, they don't want me indoors most of the time, so I get it. Not a problem. We're going to have some fun today. We've got my buddy RC in here. We've got Ken Knutson in here. And we're doing something today, Ken, that we've never, ever done before. I never have had a baseball player, a professional baseball player, in my studio.
Well, you still haven't. I'm a professional baseball coach. So not a player, but a coach.
Well, that's like having a sergeant, and then you get the general. We have General Ken in here. That is outstanding. Thank you so much. And you're the rehab pitching coach for Kansas City, correct?
Yes, I'm in development. I spend the year at the training facility, spring training facility here, and when guys get banged up, I'm the guy that coaches them and fixes them up. So we see a lot of surgeries. Tommy John's a big one now, and it's a 15-month turnaround. So I'm with guys for a long time, but it's a fun job, very rewarding because you get to watch the guys play on TV.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. As far as the pitching staff is concerned, what's your biggest shoulder injury?
Well, I'm not sure. Labrum tears are probably the most difficult ones to come through because the labrum's like a cartilage in the shoulder that I always think of it as like a golf tee with a golf ball sitting on it. The labrum is the tee part of it, and that thing will get torn, and they have to go in and repair it, and it takes forever for it to come back around. I mean, it's literally a year or two before guys go back to it. Oh, my goodness. And the return to play is what we always look at, like, are they as good as they were before they got injured? And with shoulders, it's much lower than with elbows. With shoulders, they were about 30%. Elbows, it's probably closer to 90.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries myself, and painful.
Yeah,
a long time to heal.
You probably lost a little bit off your fastball, too.
Well, I can't throw crap with my left hand, fortunately. So, it's just, it's really amazing. I caught myself watching Los Angeles and Atlanta last night, and just out of sheer boredom, I was messing with the AR and the AK last night, just fiddling around it. It's been a while since I watched, obviously watched the World Series, and I'm the same way with football. I'm busy. NASCAR is something I follow just because of my background, in the racing venue, and it's different. Knowing you were going to be here, it gives watching sports a different aspect. Okay, I know Ken. He's doing this, so I'm going to pay attention, see what you're up to. The other amusing part is watching all the coaches in the dugout.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. I can really enjoy baseball when I look at it just as a fan. I can watch a game and go have a beer and hang out and be as good a fan as anybody if I'm at the ballpark and it's not my team. But when I watch the game as a baseball coach or as a pitching coach, it's a different animal. It's
absolutely.
You're busy, I'm tied up, I'm trying to figure out what's going on as opposed to just having a good time with it.
So are you there every game engaging with your pitchers?
Yeah, every day right now we're 6 days a week, during spring training. I said spring training ended for me the day before yesterday because it started in January because rehab never sleeps, we say, because guys are injured. They just have to, like I said, Tommy John is 15-month turnaround. So we're with those guys the entire time. In the off season, we got to get a lot of work done. And so in baseball, you have spring training, when guys come and get in shape and get ready for the season. Then you have extended spring training. And we just came out of extended spring training, which is about a month. So spring training is 6 weeks, 8 weeks, depends how you look at it. Extended spring training is another month. And then the summer season starts for the young players here in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. We have half the teams in baseball are here. And, they have young players playing. And most of the players are Latin players. They're from the Dominican or Venezuela.
Yeah, I've been noticing that. Last night I was kind of taking it back to the Japanese influence.
Yeah, baseball is played around the world, and our scouts are everywhere. They look for. We have Dutch players. We have 2 Dutch players in our system. We have players from, just maybe half of the system is Latin players. And it's just such the Dominican Republic, where I think about a quarter of the players in baseball are from the Dominican, and that's a country, I believe, about 5 million people, a country of 5 million type of. So they play it year-round. They have a whole different, the way they approach it. Kids start practicing seriously at a very, very young age. In junior high school, they drop out of school. They practice baseball all day long and try to sign and get to the United States and become a Major League Baseball player at some point.
Wow. And that's basically starting that early makes them that much better.
Yeah, they
much more accomplished when they get here.
Sure, they get great instruction and they just play a lot. And it's, you know, we look at it's a way to get off the island, you know, because you know it's if it wasn't for baseball there, I mean it's a third world country, but baseball has brought so many resources there. Every major league team has a facility in the Dominican Republic, and our guys go down. I've been to the Dominican, 10 times probably. And we have an academy just like we have here, like our spring training facilities, and people live there, kids live there, coaches live there. They train basically year-round, and that's their first indoctrination into professional baseball. And they really don't play that much until they get there. They practice a lot, but they don't play games, right? They don't have little leagues and things like that. They practice baseball, practice throwing and hitting, and they have scrimmages and all this stuff, but it's all controlled. An example would be a pitcher told me that the first time he ever had an umpire behind home plate, suited up in umpire's gear, was here in the United States. And he'd already been in the, or after he'd signed, I should say, he had never played in an official game that had a scoreboard and people going at it. They just were, playing in these scrimmages type of thing. So it's a whole different life for those kids. It's probably the most, to me, it's the thing that I didn't know anything about until I got into professional baseball. I was a college coach for a long time, and I just didn't have any opinion on it. But to see what these guys go through, I can remember going away to college. Could you imagine, like, leaving the country and go to a different country where they don't speak the language that you speak, and you're away from home at 17 years old?
Wow.
For forever. You're just away from home. And
gee, what could go wrong?
Yeah, so anyway, it's really fun. The thing that I've wish that I would have paid attention to was Spanish in junior high school and in high school when I.
Boy, don't we all?
Yeah, because but coaching baseball it's a lot of fun. I think the thing that we do is we rely on each other. I have coaches. Jesus Delgado is my best friend at work because he's from Venezuela. He speaks great English and Spanish, and I use him daily to talk to some of the guys that I'm coaching.
Huh. For you, is that a pretty large barrier?
No, not really. It's the thoughts that I used to have prior to actually coaching professional players were kind of silly. I just thought that I didn't really understand the scope of it, right? Like what a person's life was like that did these things, right? And they're super grateful and they work really hard, and at the same time I couldn't imagine. I think the only way I can put it in perspective is going away to college as a freshman, and I was 150 miles away from where I lived, and I was homesick, and I was used to traveling and being away from home and all that stuff, but these kids are a long way away, and the things that they have to do to try to make it, the intensity, the focus, the how real it is, it's a big deal to them. And I'll go this way. The example would be like when I coached at the University of Washington for a long time, many of my players dropped out of professional baseball because they probably had a better job going back home and working for their father-in-law and making a bunch of money, because you don't make any money in the minor leagues. So you don't get paid till you get to the big leagues. And the minor leagues is anywhere from 4 to 6 or 7 year adventure for some players. And so, just being in pro baseball and seeing the focus and the determination of those young players, and of course we have American players and Canadian players and players from all over the world.
Yeah.
But they're just a long way away from home. So I think part of my job is like if you have an injury, I might watch you play catch for 10 minutes in a day. And you might not throw for you're not going to throw for 5 months after surgery. And so just, being a friend or a mentor or, giving them good advice and those things are part of my job, and it makes it fun. So, and the best part of my job is last night, as an example, for the Kansas City Royal Chris Bubich pitched 5 innings of shutout baseball for our major league team, and he was in rehab at this time last year. He came back from Tommy John. He was an accomplished college player from Stanford and a first rounder and all this stuff. It was super easy management on my end. But once you're in rehab for a while, you get to watch your guys play on TV. They're just all there, you know. And it's when I watch Cleveland play, I know lots of the guys that I coached when I was with them. And same with the Mets. There's kids that were young players, 3 years ago, and now they're major leagues and doing really well. So that's the satisfying part of my job and the fun part, to see those guys. The tough part is, for me, I commute about 125 miles a day, and I do it every day. It's just part of the thing. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm living at and how my job goes.
That's like RC and myself, when we go someplace once a week, it's 300 miles. Would you consider that a commute? Yeah, commute down to these wildlife places we're going to. Okay, well that's really fascinating. we got about a minute. We're going to bring Tony Arnold in, aka TA. Now he is a roving pitcher coach for the Cleveland Guardians. How does that work?
Well, I was a rover or a coordinator, and so, each organization has 4 minor league teams. And so what TA does is he goes to all those teams and he watches the guys play. He helps coach them. He makes sure that the organizational protocols and how we coach and policies and guys are doing things. And TA is a super talented coach. He's been doing it for a long time. This is his first or second year as a coordinator, a rover.
Oh, wow.
But before that, he was the coach he's been at every level. He literally has been from.
So he's down there in the dirt with these guys.
Oh yeah, and the season of baseball is wonderful because it's so long, right? I mean, they're in the minor leagues. They play 140 games. They play six games a week every week for 5 months.
God, no wonder they wear their arms out. Yeah, I'm telling you.
The most amazing thing I've seen in sports, other than my friend and I hump an elk for miles on end after we shoot them, is
that we're going to get into that.
Yeah, is watching guys go through a professional season, and I have a great story about Corey Kluber. Maybe we'll get to it in a little bit, but to be able to get through 162 games in the major leagues, 140 in the minor leagues,
that's crazy.
It is. It's unbelievable. It is such. You have to have great.
That's 300 games back to back.
Yeah, it's just it's something else.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Wow.
I hear it all year.
Okay. God, no wonder they like hot dogs. Oh, my goodness. All right. We're going to get into hot dogs, but that's a story for later. Listen, we've got to flip into a break here. I appreciate you joining us. I'm Don McDowell here with my buddy Reed and Ken. We're going to bring TA in. We're going to talk about more baseball and then what we do in our off time. We share a lot of common likes and habits, hobbies, if you will, and talk about a mountain lion hanging out down at Poca de Nero. We'll be right back here on Fox Sports 910. We're back, still engaging in baseball. I want to welcome Tony Arlen here. Tony, can we just call you TA? Just make it really easy. Okay, we got to go find him again. Okay, now you have other nicknames besides TA, right? Of course.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a couple nicknames, but
tons and tons and tons.
Yeah, none of them good, but.
Oh no.
In baseball, you have to have a nickname, right?
Of course.
It's part of the thing.
That's the thing. You hang out with RC and I, you're going to get a nickname whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily repeatable in public, but yeah, just saying.
Yep.
Okay, we're having more ongoing technical difficulties, but anyway, getting back to this roving idea, how many different places does he have to go? Does he go to every game?
No, he'll go. The way the minor league season works now is it's 6 games and then you travel. So, or you go back home or whatever it might be. So you play 6 games against the other team, the same team, and so you'll be in a place for a week, and then you will go home for a week series, and like that. So TA probably typically goes in for a week, watches the team play 6 games, and moves on to another team. But there's 4 minor league teams. There's AAA, AA, 2A teams, and then there's a complex league team here in Phoenix for both the Guardians and for the Royals, right? Again, half of the teams in Major League Baseball are in Arizona, half of them are in Florida, right? For spring training, they're spring training facilities, and they work out of it. We have big leaguers at our facility right now that are in rehab, and we have all the young players that are playing their first professional seasons in the United States are playing games. We started last night; it was our first game of the season, and we'll have 60 games over the course of the summer.
Holy cow.
Yeah. That
is amazing. Now, how long are you away from home during the regular season?
Well, I live here, so I'm always home. That's the nice thing about my job. And I've had 3 professional jobs. The last one was with the Mets, and their spring training facility is in Florida, and all their minor league teams are on the East Coast. So I was always away from home. I was on the road for 3 weeks and home for a week during the season, then gone for the entirety of spring training and extended spring training and instructional league. There's all these different seasons. And the thing about why it works so well for me, and I'm going to talk about hunting and baseball, is there's 2 seasons, right? There's baseball season and then there's hunting season.
Yes, sir.
And they match up perfectly. They really do. They really do. And fishing gets more difficult, but I get some of it. And when I was a college coach, I used to spend a lot of time in South Dakota during the summer. Not a lot of time, but I'd take a vacation back there where I'm from originally, and we'd fish nonstop.
Nice.
Yeah, all the time. And my first job of my life was cleaning fish with my great-grandmother. And in Lake City, South Dakota, and the story I've told a million times is my first year I got paid a penny a fish. I made $60 with
Wow.
So I cleaned 6,000 fish. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. And then my great-grandmother was a tough old gal, and she used to point a very sharp knife at me all the time and tell me stories. And so I think that's why I've always sort of towed the line a little bit because of that.
Yeah, Grandma seemed to have, no slack left. That's it.
No, it's just a scary person, really.
Yeah.
When I was 7 years old.
Great ladies, but they're tough on you.
Yeah, very, very tough. And the early memories of my childhood basically was that, thinking of my grandmother pointing the sharpest knife I've ever been around for certain, because we a lot of bullheads were caught up in Lake City and like small catfish, right?
Sure.
And her job was, when I was very small, she would cut around behind the fins, and then I would skin the thing. And she could cut fish up faster than any human and point the knife and tell you a story, and all that stuff was going on. And it was pretty incredible. That, and then being woke up in the middle of the night because a tornado was coming through, we go to the storm cellar. Those are the things that I remember about my great-grandmother when I was a small child. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. My grandma, it was she was quite the hunter. She went everywhere with my granddad, who was one hell of a sportsman, bless his heart. Grandma put her left eye out with a boning knife on an elk. And that's the way that went. But,
Should have fit in good with us.
Well, I grew up with it, and I didn't care. I knew the story behind it, and she recovered and, was doing a good job. But my kids, they didn't understand the story. And Grandma had a glass eye. So when she'd get up in the morning, she's looking at you this way, and this glass eye is pointing over here to, someplace else. You're like, wow, oh, it's crazy. So we had to get the kids calmed down, told them the story, and then they're going, oh, poor Grandma. And then Grandma would get after them because she didn't want any sympathy and da-da-da-da. Grandmas. Mm-hmm. So I believe, T.A., do we have you now? T.A.? Earth to T.A.
Hello?
All right, we're still gonna be checking for T.A.
Hello?
Are you there? T.A.
Are you there now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the wind must be blowing in Texas. Where are you actually? T.A. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. We must have a bad connection. So, anyway, we'll just move ahead, and I'm not sure what to do at this point. So,
I can hear you.
Okay, well, keep talking. Where are you? What are you doing, T.A.?
I'm sitting out on my patio. Was listening to the early part of the show, and just getting ready to. I'll head out next week for another trip, but other than that, I'm just chilling at home, which is kind of nice at this time of the year.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part of doing what we're doing, chilling out. In RC's case, in my case, we get a couple of days and then we get to do it all over again like you guys. We've been talking with Ken here on his duties as a rehab coach. What are your specific duties? Kind of paint a picture of what you do for us.
Well, this year it's drastically changed. This is like my 45th year in baseball, and 36 of it was as a pitching coach at an affiliate. So at this time of the year, I usually leave spring training and go someplace, and I'm there till September. But now after spring training, I got to come home for 2 weeks. So I'm usually home 2 weeks, out 2 weeks, and just visiting the different affiliates. And my main part of my duty is pitching coach of the organization. We actually get vacation time, which didn't start till a few years ago. So when the pitching coaches take their vacation, then I will go in and be the pitching coach for the team for that period of time. And since I've been at all levels in our minor league system, I have a good idea what to expect and stuff. And so hopefully things will run a little smoother than they do sometimes when it's not necessarily a pitching coach that covers for you.
I see. So sounds more like a military deployment, doesn't it, RC?
When you're an affiliate, it definitely is a deployment. Now it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that myself, quite frankly. Well, that's pretty cool. You guys are under a lot of pressure doing what you do. I had no idea. Kent was sharing how many back-to-back baseball games, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 300, throughout the regular season and digressing back through spring training. But, being under the kind of pressure you are, hunting and fishing seems to be a good venue for therapy, if you will. I use it for therapy more than I'm going to admit to. But, especially in, dove season comes along and deer season, and we're getting ready to put in for our fall permits on June 3rd is the deadline. And I didn't get drawn for elk, so I'm looking at New Mexico. They've got some Himalayan yaks over there that just look like they need to be harvested or shot. I mean, they're like cows that went hippie or something. I don't get it. So, how much hunting and fishing do you actually get to do?
Well, really, I don't do that much hunting. When I'm out in Arizona with Ken and Reed and those guys is when I do most of it. At home, I have 5 acres where I'll go just shoot. I enjoy shooting as much as I do hunting, but throughout my life it was more quail and dove. Never really did any other hunting until I went out to Arizona and went coyote hunting out there, which was kind of really cool. You find a respect for how smart those animals are.
Oh yeah,
and how they can survive out in the desert like that.
Well, they're beginning to really the last couple of years their population has exploded, and I'm a member of the Arizona Cattle Growers Association. So, in my other business, I'm dealing with the cattle ranchers on a regular daily basis, and I went down to an NRCD meeting down in Kearney in the southeast part of the state, and it's usually a pretty good meeting. We discuss all the the political things that are happening in the cattle industry and the ag industry. And RC was down there with me, and I would say, out of an hour and 15 minutes, 40 minutes of it, or maybe a little bit more, was taken up complaining about mountain lion invasions and interactions with people, depredations. And the thing that kind of puzzles me the most is the amount of coyotes that have become emboldened. And we had one of the ranchers, Amber, I believe her name was, she's got 2 little toddlers, and she's got coyotes jumping up on the porch and looking in the window. And I kind of depend on the pragmatic view of the obvious. I says, okay, so where do you keep your 30-30? Oh, we keep all the guns locked up because of the kids. I said, no. You put 2 nails above the door and put your 30-30 or a shotgun up there, and that's the last thing you grab before you go outside. So anyway, there's right now it's a big problem. We're talking to Arizona Game and Fish on a regular basis on mountain lion predations. We've got one of our model ranches. I got an email that a text message that I shared with RC. We've had 5. This is, I think, the 6th depredation, albeit not a cow. It was a mule deer doe. Which is bad enough, but the cat's down there making 11, but he can go do it someplace else.
Right.
So I'm thinking there's got to be a mountain lion heaven someplace. Don't you think? No. Okay. Yeah, bad cat. All right. So how often do you get to come to Arizona and play?
Well, I'm usually there
in the desert with your buddies.
In spring training, usually it was a little tougher this year. We've lost some of our staff. Ken's moved to Kansas City. Owen Dews with the Diamondbacks, and so a lot of the guys that we went with are either in big league camp or the big leagues, so they don't have the time you have in the minor leagues. So this year was a little thin. I think I got out a couple times. A few years ago, I was there for pretty much the whole from spring training through October.
Wow.
So I was out in the desert probably every Sunday but one. Not necessarily always hunting, but I was born in El Paso and grew up going out in the desert with my BB gun and with my friends and just kind of hanging out. So it's just like, for me, it's mental relief going out there, whether
Absolutely.
it's to hunt or whether it's just to go see all the stuff that's in the desert that you don't believe. You could have told me 1,000 times this stuff's out there, and I wouldn't believe it till I see some of it with my own eyes. So it's really cool. I really enjoy just going out and just hanging out in the desert, whether it's in the wash, plinking with a 22, or hunting, or sitting around campfire having a few beers.
Absolutely. Well, what I've learned with RC, there are some things in the desert that are just unspeakable. In the weird people out there, oh my goodness. It's like, RC reality TV, come on. All right, TA and Ken, we're going to ask you to hang on. We've got to flip into a hard break here at Fox Sports 910. I'm Don McDowell. We'll take a short break and be back. All right, we're back with baseball, professional baseball coaches. We've got TA. He's at home, and he is the Cleveland Guardians roving pitcher coach. And we have Ken, who is the Kansas City Royals rehab pitching coach. And, boy, that just sounds like such a thankless job with these guys. I mean, because what they do, they're prone to blowing out body parts, are they not?
Yeah, guys get hurt. There's no doubt about it. And you see more of it now than you did 20 years ago, or, you know, you can go farther back. Two things. One is now you can see things. Technology has allowed us to see that there's an injury there. It's not just I got a sore elbow and throw through it and be tough and all that. Yeah. Now we can go in there and you see it. So guys get shut down, and then just the velocity of pitchers. They're throwing so hard. I mean, literally the average continues to climb. The average fastball now is 94, 95 miles an hour in the big leagues. And when I was a player, or, you know, when I first started coaching, that the hardest throwers maybe threw in the low 90s. Now the hardest throwers are throwing in the low 100s.
Yeah.
So guys get banged up. There's no doubt about it. But the good news is, especially elbows, you can fix them. The return to play at the same level, if not even higher level, is pretty substantial with elbows. With shoulders, a little bit more difficult, but guys can come back from it.
Yeah, shoulder, that just makes me cringe. TA, what seems to be your biggest challenge doing what you do with these various clubs?
It's just going in. I mean, this year it's like the challenge is just to go in, and now I'm just a resource for the pitching coaches, managers, and then the players. It gives them somebody to vent to. I've had quite a few of them over the years, so no matter which level I go to, there's players that I had their first year most likely, or some year there ever. So it's more rewarding than anything, because I don't have to. I'm not there. The grind is every day. You know, when you're in a season, you're there and you're invested in the kids every day. So, and when you don't see success, it wears on you. I mean, my goal for every kid I've ever coached is I want him to throw at least one pitch in the big leagues. I got to do it, and you know, it's your childhood dream. So you want everybody to accomplish it, knowing that they're not. But I go about my daily chores and everything during the affiliate season. So from till the end of September, I'm like wired. So when I get home, I'm like just wiped. I just don't want to do anything until I get a breather. So, but it usually takes about 2 weeks, and I'm ready to go back and do it. This is kind of it's fun because I still get to be a pitching coach, and I'm not tied down with a bunch of the work that a pitching coordinator and stuff is charged with. So it seems like it's going to be a pretty good fit. I'm really enjoying it so far this year.
Well, for both you guys, let's go down the road. For your players, you know, we've had interactions with football players. We actually had a tournament here when Dennis Green was the coach here, and we put these guys out on the water in bass boats, and I was shocked. I mean, you got these big old bruiser boys out there, and quite frankly, you know, 2 hours into it, they're wimping. They're done. And the best part about it is the cheerleaders, you know, went for 6 hours. Rah, 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 you know. But percentage-wise, you know, players, how do they do fuse? They hunt, they fish?
Well, a lot of guys that I know are the relationship that you would probably like me as your coach. If you do hunt, then we have something to kill the 15 months with that we're together, you know.
Yeah,
so
boy.
We spend a lot of time. And a lot of the guys that I've rehabbed have ended up been in our hunting party, you know. Cody Anderson was the American League Pitcher of the Month in September of 2014 or 15, and he's hunted with us many times, and we're very good friends, you know. And he's also super strong. He's like a 6'5", 245-pound guy. I saw him carry most of an elk out one time. Most of an elk he had on his back.
Yeah.
You know, so these guys are good athletes, and I just look at them all as pack horses. So let's just go.
Yeah, okay.
But we have a lot of the guys that I've coached have showed up and started hunting with us.
How about yourself, TA? Same question.
I mean, I agree. I mean, most of the guys. Yeah, I mean, that's how you connect with the players, find out what they like to do, and if it's not hunting, fishing, bow hunting, golf, it's usually cars. And I've had experiences with all of them, so it's kind of neat when you find something that they like to do away from the field. But a lot of it falls back into fishing and golf during the season. It's harder to get out and go hunting. I know one of our pitchers we had was up from the Virginia area where I was last year, and he got to go turkey hunting up there. I guess the season was late or something, and so he got to go during the season. He would have thought he was Christmas was coming every day. He got to go.
There's nothing like turkey hunting. I'm telling you, that'll take you right back to 12 years old. I don't care how old you are. Okay, we got to flip in here to break. We're going to hold you over TA till the top of the hour. And then when we come back, I want to know about hunting deer in Texas if you do that. My son and I have a pasture in North Mexico, which is about 35 miles due south of Del Rio, Texas, managing whitetail herds down there. And I can tell you that's similar to hunting in Texas. We have the shooting stands, automatic feeders, and pilos for water, and see what your take is on that. All right, we're going to stand down more with TA and Ken and RC when we come back. Fox Sports 910, 99.9 FM HD3. We'll be right back. hunting in Texas. How do you guys do it back there, TA? Are you guys hunting from stands or what?
Well, I mean, I've been in the stands. I'm not like a fan of it. I don't consider that hunting, personally. When I was younger, my grandfather had some land, and I had a 30-30, so I would go out and I'd rather be walking and hunting, more like what Ken and them do out in the desert when they're hunting and stuff. And I think that's hunting. I think we've got a deer stand with 2 feeders and a 75, 80-yard shot and 125 to 150-yard shot out of the deer stand. And my nephew goes out there and hunts deer, and I tell him you're harvesting, which is you need to do. I mean, the population's up, you need to do it. But I consider if you're going to hunt, you go out and hunt. You don't go feed them and then get there before the feeder's supposed to go off, and then when they come up, shoot them. That's harvesting.
Wow.
So,
one of my favorite things to do, quite frankly.
But that's just my view on it, and that goes back to my grandfather that says that's how you hunt, and my dad and stuff like that. So, but yeah, most of the places, a lot of them have their deer leases where they know where the deers are and they'll walk up and get them, or they have feeders and blinds and all up. Of the guys that I know that hunt a lot.
Now, these guys that you're talking about, are they into game management? Are they trying to manage their herds, grow a bigger deer, get rid of the goofy gene pool, that kind of thing?
No, I don't. I don't know any game wardens or anybody that does that here. I'm not connected that way. I'm not out a lot. I know my wife's boss is he hunts quite a bit. And that I know he's talked about doing that is to try to get rid of the ones that are that ruin the herds and stuff. Yeah. So I understand all of it, but I just never been really that involved in it. Like I said, I stayed more with the birds.
Sure. Well, that's pretty much what we're engaged in Mexico down at the ranch on Seco. We've been managing deer down there, and we're growing some pretty big whitetail, huge whitetail up to 200 inches, and the mule deer, because of the drought, are coming down out of the mountains and trying to interact. But my first, I'm with you on the aspect of hunting versus harvest. I went down, and my first trip Tuesday morning, boom, got 2 deer down, and I'm down with my son. He goes, and I told him, I said, man, I'm good. I'm used to shooting 1 deer. I get a deer tag every year. I get to shoot my deer, and I got 2 deer. I'm ready to go home. He goes, Dad, we got to do this till Thursday. I said, I can't do that. I can't. Ethically, I can't shoot any more deer. He goes, Dad, the ranch takes the meat that they can take, and they've got huge freezers. The ranch hands take their meat home, and the rest of the meat goes into Acuna to an orphanage to feed the kids. I said, fine. What time are we going to go shoot more deer? So I'm totally good with that aspect. But, yeah, it's a whole different mindset.
Yeah, it's all, there has to be, you have to control the populations, or they're all in danger. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying that I mess with my nephew all the time. He tells me, you got a deer. I go, you harvested another one.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you're going to be happy to hear we are seeing, RC and I were out messing around the last couple of weeks, and this last trip, we were seeing scads of white wings coming in already. I mean, it's going to be a really good year, I think. And quail everywhere.
There you go. That's awesome. Now, right around where I lived, I can get as many deer as I want driving just into my community and stuff. But if I was to shoot one, my wife would hang me.
So what do you do? Hit them with a car?
But no, they're all over the place here. So I can't imagine out in the opens. I mean, and it's getting more populated.
Well, we've got one of our ranchers out here that's got a 15-mile run from I-8 north to the dirt road going into the headquarters. He's hit 44 deer over the years out there.
Yeah, that's
44.
what
I
we
mean,
try
can
to
you think-
avoid.
So anyway, and that's part and parcel of why we're doing what we're doing. We're providing water so they don't have to jump across the road to, go get a drink of water, and it's working. It's one of our model projects. So what's your next big adventure moving forward?
I'm heading out to my next trip's out to Indianapolis and to Michigan, Great Lakes. So but as far as anything away from baseball, I don't have it planned as of yet.
Well, you're sure welcome out here. I look forward to meeting you and shaking your hand out here. And then I can't do it on the air, but I want to qualify some of the tales that Ken and RC are telling about you. I can't believe it's true.
I'm sure they're exaggerated, but
these guys, are you kidding? Come on.
But no, I enjoy my time out there, and all the guys that I go to the desert. And the reason they go to the desert is just a blast. It really is. They're good people, and I love hanging out with them. So
well, you guys are doing some good.
You.
I'm really keyed in on predator management, and what you guys are doing is, it's helping the wildlife community. It's helping the ranchers and the farmers as well. That are trying to do the right thing. So, it's something we need to do. And we're just contemplating managing a mountain lion that seems to be intruding on one of the ranches. So, shame on him.
Yeah, well, get your hands full.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
All right, well, we're going to thank you for playing along with us today. And like I said, I look forward to shaking your hand and getting out there with you, and good luck on your baseball season. And you guys have a new baseball fan, so
well, that's good to hear.
yeah. I actually watched a baseball game last night, aside from the World Series. So yeah, it's knowing you guys brings another dimension to watching a baseball game, especially watching the coaches. For some reason I find that pretty fascinating because they're pacing up and down, spitting sunflower seeds all over the floor. And are you guys allowed to chew tobacco anymore?
Not really, but in the big leagues you can do what you want.
Okay,
but
not legally, but they do it. They don't police it like they did when they first put the ban in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the awareness these days, just people are trying to kick the habit and all that stuff. But.
Well, there's so much social pressure on. Doing certain things that used to be acceptable, and anymore, no. So, all right. Well, I was keeping an eye out for, but I just didn't see any. So, all right, TA, we're going to wish you the best of the rest of the weekend, and thanks for playing along. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, Don. Look forward to meeting you when I get out there again.
Absolutely. Come on down. We got plenty of room in the desert.
All right.
Okay. When's your next big adventure?
My next big adventure, going to work on Monday. If the fighting the 10, the 202, the 303, and coming back home, that's always my adventure.
Yes, it is.
But we start. This time of year, I get an off day, and we start shooting and reloading, getting ready. Then dove season, September 1 hits, and here we go.
I think it's really going to be a really good year from what we're seeing, and we're all over the state. Southwest of Gila Bend, and then Globe South down into Kearney and Winkleman and Safford, Thatcher, just all over. The birds are coming. The big thing we're seeing is quail. I mean, it's been as dry as it's been. There's been enough moisture that we're not thinking about to propagate the quail population. All right, we got to wind down this first hour. When we come back, we'll be talking to Captain Chaos and Sheriff Wynn, see what they're doing with the M406 Rifle Company. Hooey hooey. I'm Don McDowell, Fox Sports 910. We're back with RC and Ken, Major League Baseball rehab coach. Have we got Captain Chaos? Okay, we're waiting for Captain Chaos. You can catch these guys at the M406 Rifle Company, Hui Hui. Yeah, it's a Hawaiian thing, so. What time do you guys start getting ready for bird season? You go out and do sporting clays, or how do
Not really. We just, we shoot a lot of doves. We really do, and a lot of times we'll just go out there. We, in the past, sometimes RC's got a bird chucker, and so we'll shoot those a little bit, but most of the times we just start shooting. When we were together in Washington, we shoot a lot of ducks up there, and so dove season was to get us ready for duck season. In Arizona, dove season's become really an event for us. I mean, we're out, we camp out, and we spend many days doing it. So it's just bring a lot of shells, and you'll hone your skill as it continues.
No, you haven't mentioned duck hunting. Yeah. Well, we've got some pretty fascinating duck hunting. It's a little adventurous down on the Gila River, north of Gillespie Dam, and especially with the mallards and the green-winged teal come flying in their treetops about 65 miles an hour, right before dark and right at daylight. And hitting them's one thing, and then retrieving them is something else.
We got a few dogs, so we can help with that. So.
I never had dogs. I had waders and a fishing pole in my back pocket.
Yeah,
one of the Ron Poe Peel pocket fishermen.
Yeah,
bring it out there and wind your duck in.
Yeah, and we used to, when my son was in high school, we used to do a lot of duck hunting. He had some buddies too, and we just would jump ponds, in the desert and do all that stuff. But I haven't done much, since then. It's mostly just, it's dove hunting, and then it's deer and elk. That's our main.
Yeah, we get quite a few wayward geese over on Roosevelt. They like to winter in downtown Payson at Green Valley Park, and then the game department or Tonto National Forest puts up "Don't go here" buoys because they think they're going to have geese over here, but they're actually up in Payson. But okay, have we got Captain Chaos? No. I guess not. I guess we're not going down that street today. So anyway, I guess the next big thing that I want to talk about, RC and I have been having discussions about hot dogs. Actually, he's been giving me nightmares on what hot dogs are made out of. We spend a lot of windshield time, and there's these intelligent conversations that we have, like flat Earth. Did we really land on the moon? Some really high level intellectual discussions. But this thing with the hot dog's been keeping me up, and because bass fishing keeps the hot dog industry in business, because every time you go to a bass tournament, you pay the fee, and at the end of the day, there's hot dogs every time.
Mm-hmm.
These guys go to the Bassmaster Classics, and they're out fishing for millions of dollars, and it's a 3-day event. Each day when they come in, hot dogs. You would think they would have beef Wellington or something more nutritional. So I think we have Captain Chaos, do we not?
We do.
What is going on in downtown Montana?
Oh, not much. I just got home yesterday, so I'm just trying to get back on the ball here and get things going, get the sheriff lined up. Don't listen to my...
Yeah, good luck on getting... Has he got his hand out of the pickle jar?
No pickles allowed in this house anymore.
Okay. Well, what's going on at the rifle company? We've had quite a bit of conversations, text messages, phone call on Vector Optics this past week since Tan and Dean were down here. Not so much on anything other than rifle scopes, and there's been some inquiries about the monocular. I did do some field testing on the 8x42 monocular, and I got to tell you, man, it's great. It is very, really, really handy. You just keep it laying there in the console, and if you want to look at something, you just grab it instead of going, where the hell's my binoculars? And so that's a good thing. We've been talking to one gentleman on a 6.5 Grendel. He had that, and then there was two wanting to know about the 300 blackouts and what type of platform, barrel length, BCG composition, and length of pull.
I'd tell them to give us a call. We'll answer all those questions for them. But
I have. I've been putting your website out there, your phone number, so that's excellent. A good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks again for having us on the show. It was great to come down and be in the studio, have Dean Tan, Dave from Soda Arms. Had a long conversation with Eric from Metro Light the other day. We're going to try to get him in the studio in July, myself, Wynn, and we'll see if we can get Dave as well and go deep into conversations about AR platforms from one end to the other. But we're looking to try to do that in July, end of July.
Yeah, I'm good for that. Yeah, I want to go down the road, especially with Eric and their battle-tested optics over in the Gaza with the Israeli IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, and see what their main go-to AR platform or whatever they're using. I know there's a couple of different platforms that IDF is using for different venues.
Yeah, Eric has a group of guys, an organization that do varmint hunting. They pretty much use the 224 Valkyrie, using 20-inch and 24-inch barrels. They want to talk to us here soon about just building and designing some rifles on the Atria side of the house for them and other competitions that they're going to be doing. I was unaware that was actually a huge thing, that people did that for competition, going after varmint and making money doing it. I was kind of blown away from that. Didn't know that was a thing.
Well, we had a group here that several years ago wanted to have a varmint contest, coyote specifically, so they advertised it down in Tucson. And you talk about the Figueroa hitting the fan, man. The antis came out of the woodwork, pretty much quashed it, and it's going on, but it's done quietly. It's not socially acceptable to the left side of the fence to manage predators, and quite frankly, since that's what it is, in my mind, I don't have a problem with it, because nobody else, aka the wildlife managers, are doing what I think is a good job on predator management. So, yeah. Well, we've got not Metro. We've got Fox Pro coming to town, coming up from Tucson to. I talked to them last night. They want to come down to one of the ranches and try to call in a mountain lion that's becoming a nuisance. So.
Yes, Don, can you hear me?
Barry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just wanted to bring up, we used to have coyote hunts all the time up here, where people have bounties and everything. You go out, for 5-6 hours they kill skunks, they kill coyotes, just all those varmints and predators that are out there. In the last couple of years, we really see less and less of it. And it's very apparent because, like right at dusk around here, man, one coyote sounds off, and next thing you know, the whole valley is just going crazy with coyotes. And it needs to get rectified. Everybody thinks they're cute and fuzzy, but They're not, and they need to be controlled way better than what they are right now.
Absolutely. How much kickback are you having from the Cattle Association up there, the cattle growers?
I'm not even sure. They've been. I have. I'm not. I probably would have known that about 3 years ago if I was still in office. But there's a lot of things that go on even at the county level that to help with those problems and stuff. But it sounds like even our state trappers aren't coming out like they used to. And if they do, they're heading out to the wide open areas of central and eastern Montana to knock them down out there, especially with more of the open range, no fences type stuff that we have out in eastern Montana. It's big areas. So I just know they're not really doing much around here. And even with mountain lions, they're like, well, if they're not bothering anybody, just leave them alone, and they could be in your backyard. And it's the last 2 years, 3 years, they've actually killed 2 mountain lions just on the other side of my property. So a whole whopping probably half a mile away, they'd end up killing 2 that are hanging out in people's houses. So there's a problem there. I know they cut our quotas down because they're like, I don't know how they go out and count mountain lions. They're hard enough to find as it is, but they go out and say, oh, the numbers are low. How do you know that? They're a cat running around the woods. I mean, I think they could probably increase that quota a lot more than what it is, and then do some obviously with the coyote population. And that obviously that's not a game animal per se, like deer and elk. So you don't need a license for that. But like the wolf, you have to have a tag for the wolf. And wolf. Jesus, guy. He's from Hawaii. He can't speak.
Yeah, bad dogs.
But but they're doing. I think they're doing a pretty good job with the bears. I've noticed I got a few emails over the last couple of days that bear hunting units are closing because the quota's been met. So it's good. People are getting out there and keeping that under control and making it a little better place to go out and play in the woods without worrying about getting eaten by something.
Yeah. They're called carnivorous walk-aroundists. Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, anything else? Kimo, give your website out real quick and your contact information for these guys.
Yeah, you can reach us on the website, m406rhh.com. Phone number, everything's on the website. And then one of the other things that we're working on right now, Don, bolt action on an AR platform. It seems to be a new thing. There's a couple of different companies that are out there doing it now, and we may jump on that bandwagon because we were talking about when we were in studio about bolt action and something we want to do, but doing it on an AR platform would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to get this thing wrapped up. I'll talk to you offline after airtime's over with, and you too, Sheriff Wynn. I'll share you some information that we're doing with the Cattle Growers Association and the Trapping Association. We put together a symbiotic relationship. Those guys have problems. They call the trappers. The trappers come out and do what they can. Then we get Fox Pro in there and do some harvesting. So that's it, guys. You have a better rest of the day. We'll be back. All right, we'll be back after a short break here on Fox Sports 910. Okay, while we're rustling up Chris Rich, Ken, the bulk of your guys, TA was talking about hunting, fishing, cars, that type of thing. The guys that you're dealing with, what are they involved with on their off time primarily?
Yeah, mostly those things. I think everybody wants something away from baseball that they can focus on, that gives them a break, all that stuff. The cool thing, again, about baseball is it just lines up so nice with the hunting season. Football doesn't because they play all fall, and baseball, they've actually moved the season a little bit later. They've changed the scheduling of baseball season. It's a couple weeks later now, but it's traditionally it was over right around the beginning of September. So,
Sure.
So a lot of guys, as their seasons are coming to a close, they're ready to go out and start hunting. But
okay, the guys from Latin America, what kind of off time stuff do they do? Hang on, we got Chris. Are you with us?
Hey, I got you, Don McDowell. What's cooking?
Yeah, well, we're waiting for you to educate us on the art of fly fishing. So,
I'll tell you what, I'm in the White Mountains this morning. I've been up here all weekend, and it is sure beautiful up here. And the beautiful thing is we're getting a little bit of moisture in the mountains, which we need in a big, big way.
Huge.
So let me give you the big story up here. Of course, the big story is fire restrictions. If you're coming up, you're going to be camped out in the Forest Service. You've got, I believe, it's stage 2 fire restrictions. They don't want any smoking out in the forest, no flame of any kind, trying to save the forest from the forest fires. Most of the Indian reservation up here, the White Mountain Apache reservation, most of it is closed down. Not all of it. So everything along the highway, along 260, up into Holly Lake, Earl Park Lake, those are all open. Upper Log, Lower Log along the White River, that area is open, but you're in stage 2 fire restrictions. So although they've closed down most of the res, there's still quite a bit of fishing open, and people are giving me great reports about fishing. Horseshoe Cienega, Sunrise, fishing incredibly well. A1 Lake, fishing very well. The Greer Lake, somebody told me yesterday, they caught 80 trout using the green woolly booger over in the Greer Lakes the other day. So
wow,
the fish are very, very active up here in the mountains, and people are happy. People are having a good time. The fish are happy. They're having a good time getting on the hooks. They like the fly fishermen because the fly fishermen put them back, catch and release. So, yeah.
You're talking to the wrong guy because if they're this big, they'll fit in the frying pan. Stop it.
Well, I don't blame you for that. Every once in a while, I have to put them in the frying pan, but
Thank you.
Usually I put them back. See, the thing is, Don McDowell, if you've got a fly rod in your hand, you're probably going to catch more fish than the average Joe. I'm just saying that's just how it normally goes. We catch so many fish, we have to put them back. If we kept all our fish, there'd be no fish left.
Understood.
So that's why we practice. That's why we practice catch and release.
Now, Ken, this sounds like a challenge. Okay, so you, me, in the boat. I'll bring my bait caster. You bring your fly rod. Let's see what happens.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Last time I did this, I had my butt kicked. So.
I'll tell you, the White Mountains are absolutely beautiful. They've had a little bit of rain here in the last few days. They've got some rain projected coming in to the next week, so that's a good thing. I'll tell you, the other thing that's happening is our favorite place in the valley, the canals are heating up big time. The carp are really getting active. The water's warming up, getting some great reports of some giant carp being caught down in the canals in the valley. So that's where I'm going to probably be hanging out a little bit next week, is chasing some of those big river monsters in the canal down there.
Yeah, I want to introduce you to Ken here. Ken is a professional baseball person. He's the Kansas City Royals rehab pitching coach, and we've been talking about maybe getting some of his off-time baseball players, getting fly rods in their hands and getting them out on Salt River.
You know what? Have him swing by the shop during spring training. We have a lot of those baseball players come in. I've taken quite a few of them out on the Salt River. I've gotten quite a few of them out fishing for the carp on the canals, and they're really having a good time. So, I've got some videos of some of those spring training players fishing in the canal, catching some of those giant carp. And this is a great time to be out there because the water temp is warmed up. The carp are super active. They're willing to play. and it's, you can go out and fish for several hours. You don't have to be middle of the summer. You can only get out there about an hour, and you're overheated.
Yeah.
But right now, and this May, I mean, come on, this weather's been beautiful for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been great. Really, really good. Well, that's early morning, late afternoon, going into evening times. It's time to be out there.
Yeah, I walk the canals every day with my dog, and I've been seeing a lot of carp coming to the surface and bumping around in my canal.
Do you have a fly rod?
No, I don't.
I'll tell you what, if you stop by the shop, 3254 East Cactus Road, stop in the shop, come see us. It's a thing. I mean, it's a real thing. And you hook onto a 40-pound carp on a fly rod, and I know you're out there walking your dog, but then you can take your carp for a walk because they're going to drag you around a little bit.
Yeah, my son did a lot of canal fishing when he was younger. It was a daily thing. So I've seen a lot of big fish caught there.
Yeah, no, it's a fun thing, and I'll tell you what, on a fly rod, they're a super challenging fish to chase. I mean, it's one thing if you're fishing with a dough ball or a hot dog, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you want to take it up to the next level, kind of like the big league level, then you put a fly rod in your hand, and now it's a whole different ball game.
The only problem with that, the hot dogs won't stay on my fly rod. The hooks are too small.
Well, we can help you there, Don.
Okay.
We can figure something out. We'll figure something out. For
okay.
We got a hot dog fly. I tell you what, I'll tie you up a hot dog fly. It looks just like a hot dog. All right, I'll tie you up a fly that looks like a hot dog.
There you go.
You can soak it in the hot dog juice before you cast it out. How's that?
Oh man, what's your next big adventure? Ken's had the pleasure of fishing in Cuba. You just got back. Any feedback from your fellows that were down in Cuba?
I'll tell you what, we had an absolutely great time in Cuba. I mean, I couldn't believe how much fun we had. And guys were on their the WhatsApp group all week and talking about the trip and having a reminiscent good time. Our next big trip is down into the Amazon jungle. We go out about 800 miles. We stay in the Akayapo village. It's called Kenjam. And the Kayapo, the natives, guide us on the headwaters of the Iriri River. We'll be chasing 12 different jungle species, crystal clear water, a lot of sight fishing, a lot of wet wading. And the Kayapo are the warriors of the Amazon. And so they've maintained, they're one of the only native tribes that still lives out there in the jungle. And that's going to be quite an adventure. So we fly into Manaus, and then we take about a 3 hour, 45-minute flight out into the jungle, stay there in Kenjam, and spend a week there fishing.
What river? Are you on the Negro?
No, it's going to be up near the headwaters of the Iriri River.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's one of the major tributaries of the Amazon, not the Negro, but in a little different area of the Amazon. So that's going to be our next big adventure, and from there we go to Puerto Rico, and anyhow, the adventure continues.
Okay. All right, we're going to wish you the best for the rest of the weekend. When are you coming in studio?
You tell me when. I'll be I'll be in Phoenix next weekend. If you want me to come in, let me know.
Let's do it.
I've got a real surprise I'm going to do on Saturday. I'll let you know on Sunday how it goes in the show. You want me there on next Sunday morning?
Yes, sir.
I'll see you at the studio Sunday morning, my man. Have a great week.
Yep. God love you, man. Appreciate all the things you do for conservation and the community. Chris Rich, AZ Fly Shop, Cactus, just west of the area of 51 Highway. So how many guys do you get from Cuba? Ball players.
We have, in our org right now, I think we have a few, 2 to 4, but we've got a lot of friends from Cuba too. And yeah. But there's, they got to get out of there, so sometimes it's pretty interesting how they make it to the United States.
That's an offline conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, we got to flip into a break. When we come back, Commissioner James Guggenhauer, a.k.a. the Master Rod Builder for Rim Country Custom Rods. Commissioner James Guggenauer from downtown Payson. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes, Commissioner.
Hey, good morning, Don. Great show. I'm still kind of sitting here laughing over a hot dog fly that Chris Rich is going to tie for you. I want one of those too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know that's the thing. I mean, you know, we haven't gone down the road with Ken here, whether it's ballpark hot dogs or ballpark Franks. Which is it?
Well, it's a hot dog if you're at the ballpark. I don't think it'd be Frank. Frank's the coach at third base.
Okay. yeah. What's the matter, you, Frankie? All right, back to you. Before we get sidetracked on other stuff, what's the going on over at the Mother Lake?
So a couple of things. The weather today is going to be a beautiful day for fishing. The low last night in Payson was 38 degrees. We're going to get up to 60 degrees. Tonto Basin, it was 50 degrees for a low. They're going to get up to the low 80s today.
Wow.
The most important thing is we are overcast up here, and they're saying that there's a chance of rain this afternoon and tonight.
I've heard that
So
rumor.
we have our fingers crossed that that's true. But fishing, this is one of those days where fishing is just so good. You ignore the weather and go out there and just fish. It is one of the best years, one of the best springs that I can remember for bass fishing. Not necessarily spawn fishing, but pre and post fishing is really good. Every week I'm getting photographs of people catching 8 to 12-pound bass. A couple of weeks ago down at Saguaro Lake, a gentleman caught a 13-pounder.
I heard that.
And,
did you see a picture?
I did see a picture. What happened was he released the fish, but the area he was in, there was algae in that area, Don, and it kind of almost instantly killed the fish. And so Game and Fish just happened to be there. They even helped trying to revive the fish and couldn't do it. So they took the fish, and it was just a monster kind of fish. So all good down there. The lake level this morning at Roosevelt is 64%. That's down another 1%. So for the last month, each week, the lake level has gone down 1%. So, I mean, we're on that trend. The Salt River's flowing at about 115 cubic feet per second. It's about 18% of its normal rate for this time of year. So things are drying out in rim country. We desperately need moisture up here. And we have no snowpack for the spring runoff. So we're counting on an early and steady monsoon this year, and everybody needs to keep their fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, keep on dancing. I hear you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Roosevelt, what's the prominent technique at this point? We still have good topwater action.
Yeah, like as if you don't know, McDowell. Yeah. So there is a topwater bite that is going on. A Zoom Super Fluke.
I love the Super Flukes.
Azorus Fluke, buzz baits, anything like that causes a disturbance. Bass are feeding heavily, especially in the post-spawn side of things. And that means as soon as they see a disturbance or a reaction on the water, they move to it. And I mean, you don't have to cast very far or retrieve very hard to get those bites. Now, later in the day, when the water heats up and the winds kind of calm down and change directions at Roosevelt Lake, guys are switching over to a drop shot or jigs, moving out to about 20 to 25 feet of water.
Yeah.
But there is a steady bite all day long on bass. All the major points that come out onto the lake, you can go to almost every one. If you're on a major point in the Roosevelt Lake and you're not catching fish, get on your trolling motor and move up to the next point because they are going to be on those points out there.
I would recommend if you can't catch fish on a main lake point, put your boat on the trailer and go to Waffle House. Just get off the water. You know.
Hey, this time of year, I am with you on that. I also wanted to build on what Chris was saying earlier, the Stage 2 fire restrictions across the Tonto.
Yes.
That was announced on Thursday. And so everything that Chris stated was accurate and exactly what the Forest Service is saying. Just a clarification, the shooting restriction, it actually says in the statement that there's no discharge of firearms, which is a little bit misleading. Because if you are doing a lawful hunt, if you are spring turkey hunting or you're doing line pursuit hunting, those are permissible. So any lawful hunting that's going on in the Tonto, even though we have level 2 fire restrictions, hunting is still permissible. The gates are open. I took a drive around yesterday. Nobody's closing gates, so there should be access for our spring turkey hunters, and all good out there.
Yeah, I want to see somebody tell one of my friends, you can't discharge a shotgun during turkey seasons. Let's see how well that works out.
Yeah, we made and we did contact the Forest Service just to say that when it should say something like no target shooting or miscellaneous shooting of firearms, something different than just no discharge of firearms, because people rail as soon as they read that in the notice. So we answered a lot of questions. I got a lot of calls on that, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Just a quick question. I've been having yesterday afternoon. I had a discussion on fishing flukes and I like the yums. And the question was, do I use an extra wide gap hook and a nail weight? And my recommendation was, I'm okay with the extra wide gap, but no on the nail weight. Just let them flutter down, in the trees, and just hang on. Any thoughts?
Yeah, exactly right. That is my go-to bait is a Zoom Super Fluke, not the mini one, the full-size one, with a blue or black stripe on the back. I use a red extra wide gap, size 5 hook.
Yep.
And no weight. Yep.
Okay.
And in fact, the ones that you gave me, Don, a couple of years ago, you gave me a pack of about 25. I'm still using those.
Well, you're taking good care. Now, you mentioned stripes. How many Sharpies do you have in your bag?
I have one Sharpie, but it's got a black and a red on either side, so I can turn it around and put either one of those colors on.
Yeah, you're an upscale fisherman. Okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, yeah.
Let me talk about the fluke, because you bring up a good thing. When you're on those main lake points, so you're sitting in, pick a number, 30, 40 feet of water off the main lake point. You're casting up to the shore, just as you indicated, Don. Put your Super Fluke out there in about 5 feet of water and let that thing start to float down. It'll take a while. You can count it down to actually see how long it takes to hit the bottom, so you get an idea of the rate that it's falling. But once you have that rate, you can match your retrieve to just keep that thing swimming right down the main lake point.
Yep.
And a little pause every now and then with a Super Fluke, and it's pretty deadly.
Well, there's another variation that that's a given. That's a great technique. But the other way is to keep your boat tight to the bank and throw out on the main lake point and fish up. Same technique. It takes a lot of patience, but less patience than a drop shot.
They will absolutely work that way. A lot of guys like to fish them almost on the surface. If you just start fishing it like a crankbait, where you jerk, pause, reel a little bit.
You're giving away too much stuff.
Reel a little bit. You can keep it moving, but it's a good bait, very versatile. Love using those things. If I had to pick one technique to tell average anglers, not tournament anglers, not guys like you, but an average guy going to the lake, learn how to fish a super fluke.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes left. What's up with the commission? I see there's some discussion with AES on some kind of revision on commissioners' game auction tags. What's that all about?
So the Arizona Elk Society had a auction tag, one of our special big game auction tags. It was the last one that they were selling. And the person who bought it, for whatever reason, decided he wasn't going to purchase it anymore. So the Arizona Elk Society is coming back to the commission. They have a different format that they want to use to sell that tag, and they want to come back and ask permission to do that.
Okay.
So it should be a pretty simple discussion. I think that they've got a good plan. Arizona Elk Society has always been very helpful and supportive of the department. So we're looking to help them, and we'll listen to their ideas.
Okay, one more quick question, and then we got to go. The mountain lion season, as it stands today, is coming to a conclusion. How do we get predation tags to harvest and control these mountain lions that are involved in making a living chewing on cows?
So, good question, Don. We watched this very closely. As you said, the mountain lion season ends May 31st. The harvest objective, not like a goal or anything like that, but the department anticipated that we would harvest about 357 mountain lions across the state. To date, they have harvested 270. There's a balance of 87 that are left to take across the state in different regions. So a pretty average year. I mean, when we look at the data across the different regions, we're going to see that, we did this past year just about what we have done in over the prior 30 years. So those, as far as the hunts for them go and the permits that are out there, are all still good. There are depredation issues associated with that. That's kind of a different process the department has, but we can work with ranchers to try to help them when we have those depredations.
Okay, is that a painful process?
I don't believe so. I think you can just get notice. You can contact the Game and Fish Department, and they can definitely let you know the process to go through for that.
Okay, that's a call for Monday morning. All right. Awesome. Okay, one quick thing. You going with the number 5 car today at Texas Motor Speedway?
You know what? I am. Hendricks Racing had a great week last week, and with that number 5 car starting in the second row on the outside, I think that poses a serious threat to the rest of the field. So,
yeah, but he's got another Hendricks guy up there, that number 24 car, and then once again, you got Christopher Bell. These kids are just doing awesome jobs, but the only problem is they can't close the deal. And then you've got Joey Logano in that number 22 Ford Mustang. He'll be closed in the mix, and I don't even want to talk about Denny Hamlin or Bubba Wallace bouncing off the walls. But my prediction on downtown Bubba, yeah, I'm thinking he's going to finish 23rd. Hoping for a DNF.
Hey, Texas Motor Speedway is a fast raceway.
Yes, it is.
The number 5 car likes it on the outside, likes it up on top. I think speed kills, and I think that's where the number 5 car is going to be.
Yep,
today.
up against the wall, Bubba. Okay. All right, we wish you the best of the rest of the weekend. God love you. Appreciate all you do. James Guggenauer, Commissioner for AZGFD, and Bill's a heck of a that's where you can go for custom rods right there for your boys. Room Country Custom Rods. We got to stand down for one more break. We come back, we'll finish up with the guys and get on with NAPCAR Fox Sports 910. We're back. I want to thank everybody for joining in today. We've had some fun, learned a lot about baseball that I didn't know. I had no idea you guys had 300 games back to back. Oh my goodness. No wonder they're wearing their body parts out.
Yeah, it's a lot of baseball for sure.
Yeah, it is. And, we do a lot of stuff, and you're one of the more highly kinetic sports out there. Bass fishing is not known as a highly kinetic sport, it's right. But, a reactive action fisherman, not one that engages in drop shot. That's not me. I can't do it. It's just my nervous system's not built for it. But if you're throwing reaction baits, you'll make somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 casts, in a 4, 6, 8 hour period. And the lactic acid buildup in the wear and tear on your rotor cuffs and other body parts, because you're standing on one foot, balancing on one foot, running the trolling motor. Unless you've got a recessed or now they've got stuff that are laser guided, and the technological advances in bass fishing are just vast with the. I'm not even going to call it fish finders; it's sonar.
Well, my question is, do you do any training so your shoulders don't go? You lose them as you cast all the time.
I don't know that
band work or light weights.
Yeah, you're going down to the gym and you're doing the lat pulls and using the machines, and there's just not a lot of stuff you can do. Push-ups will help build up that muscle category right there.
We do a lot of band work in throwing sports, and. Crossover symmetry is a system that I endorse all the time. I know the owner of the company, and it's just it's a 5-minute process that people use it for CrossFit. They use it for throwing baseballs, footballs, all that kind of stuff. It's just simple exercises, but you need to be consistent with it. It'll activate you, and also you can do it for strength.
We've got some Bass pros. Matt Shura is one of them, and Matt's an interesting guy. His knowledge level on physiology is pretty good. He's a former retired fireman and EMT, and he hasn't been taking very good care of himself. Let's just say, but he can fix you. But I'd like to get he and your friend in here, and talk about the stuff that we need to do, because the psychological aspect of what we do is probably takes more of a toll, because if you're going to fish on Wednesday, I know a lot of guys go out and they pre-fish, and that's just tormenting themselves, because after a while, the lake levels are whatever they are, and it's like Lake Pleasant's probably one of the toughest lakes on the planet to fish bass wise, because we've got a 100 vertical foot water fluctuation. But if you fished it for any amount of time, where the fish are, what they're going to do. You just got to get there and be patient with them. And, these guys are hung up on, I got to beat 90 other guys. No, you don't. You got to beat 5 fish. That's it. And the difference between, we have a brain this big, and they've got a brain the size of a pea. The difference between us is that bass uses the whole pea, And we don't. So I mean, there are just a lot of things that go.
Consequences are greater too, I think.
Yeah,
for the bass
starting Wednesday. In my case, even as long as I've done it, Wednesday is just a cluster, because I start worrying about this and that, and you got to get the truck ready, you got to get the boat ready. You go through your tackle, even though you've been through it 50 times. In the last 2 weeks, you tie on what you think you're going to move. Want to fish with, and then you hear some dock talk, so you take that off and you retie it, and then no matter what you have on, you're going to retie it when you get to the lake, because it's something you heard in weather changes, and this time, because whatever you do on pre-fish, that was that day. That's not 4 days from now or 3 days from now or even the day before. So it's just crazy. But the psychological aspect probably is more damning than the physical aspect.
Yeah, but I think of I listen to Rogan talk. He shoots bows, right? And he uses crossover symmetry religiously to activate, to get stronger. They have a program called Iron Scaps that you do it post fishing, post throwing, post bow hunting, whatever, so you can continue to do what you want to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have that conversation. Seriously.
Yeah. It's good stuff. My mom's on it. She's 84. 85 this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on my list to ask. What's the average age of a baseball player pulling retirement?
Well, I think they're eligible. There's two retirements. There's minor league baseball and there's Major League Baseball. The Major League, I think they're eligible at late 50s, but I think at at 62 they start to draw it, and it's an incredible retirement benefit. It's just very lucrative.
Physically, how long can they do this well?
Oh, the best players are done in their mid-30s.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
But 95% of the players are done at 24 or 5. They don't get to the big leagues even. So our organization, as an example, we have 160 players, I believe, in the minor leagues alone, and plus an additional, 40 that are in the big leagues and are back and forth between the minor leagues and the big leagues type of thing. I could be off on that. Maybe it's 160 total, but they've reduced the number of players that you can have, and they've upped the minor league pay scale. Minor league pay used to be, $5,000 a year for A-ball players, and now it's, $30,000 a year.
Holy smokes!
That was 4 years ago.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you for coming down, and RC, appreciate you, man. Appreciate what you do. Follow us on Facebook. Check out the website at huntingfishing.com. Like us on Instagram. Follow us there. We're up to a lot of different stuff, hunting, fishing, conservation, that kind of thing. So that's it for today. Next week, we've got some shenanigans to pull. Chris Rich will be in studio, as you heard. I'm Don McDowell. Take your kids fishing, hug your bass boat. Yep, we are out of here.